Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We're going to continue to talk about the Coyotes situation and the situation in Arizona. I'm probably just going to keep making update videos as things come out. But Craig Morgan, who's a close source in Arizona, he's always been a consistent reporter, writer out of Arizona, and probably one of the more reliable sources to come out of Phoenix and the Coyotes hockey in general. So let's talk about the Yotes. One of my nice Yotes jerseys, one of a couple. I mean, here's my thing. I think... And there's some comments on my last video. I'm just going with the news. I mean, I do my research, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not as in it as a lot of these guys. So I do respect the fact that some of these local reporters, whether it's like, I always rely on like Rob Rossi in Pittsburgh or some of these other guys out there. It's just being closer to the ground, closer to the day-to-day, being at the practice facility, things like that. Is just huge. So Craig Morgan has a lot of the sources. Per a government source, an Arizona Coyotes land deal in North Phoenix could be wrapped up in 3 months. The 100 Anchors is right at the corner of 101 and Scottsdale Road. I'll say this, playing devil's advocate right away. I mean, there's a lot to do with this process. And I think what really rubbed Gary Bettman, the NHL, the wrong way, and keep in mind, Gary Bettman's always been an advocate to keep hockey in Arizona, keep hockey somewhere, whether it's like Phoenix or wherever it is, just to figure it out, to make it work. But there's been a lot of mixed messages, and what's rubbed them the wrong way is that, one, they were saying focus on the land, focus on a city, and execute. And again, we're getting to the latter parts of the season, and we've talked about 3 or 4 different lands, 3 or 4 different sites in general. And I think that's the part where some of the people in charge here have gone wrong. I also want to go over Elliot Freeman's 32 thoughts. Says Wednesday was a bizarre day by the Yotes standards. It sounds like the Coyotes owner communicated with the Coyotes staff about what will happen next, sometime next week. So they will release a statement over the next week or so. And yeah, I mean, just from Bettman's vibe, and I mean, I've talked about this. This is like their last chance to get it right. So yeah, I think there's some concern for sure. I would say that on top of this vibe of the ownership, it goes back to this conversation saying, Freeman says no one really knows what happens if it doesn't work. Sell to another ownership group in Arizona, go to Utah. There's a lot of potential options, right? Merrick gets the feeling that the NHL is directly over the target. So this is, shout out to Ty. Ty's giving me a lot of this. And I do have to go in the direction of that. This is a lot of opinion. I'm not stating this as a fact, but I am going back to this original report from Craig Morgan. Go check them out on YouTube. I really think that it's going to come down to the wire here, unfortunately. But my problem is like, we needed an answer like now, essentially. I think the scenario where they stay and figure it out is like, if they can give an answer in a clear direction, then they're going to play at Mullet Arena next year, and then we'll see what happens. So I think that's the part where it's like, if you just if you come up with a direct path, direct plan, I think the Coyotes will stay in Arizona, and I think they'll play in Mullet Arena one more year potentially, and then go in that direction. But it's just not that simple. Like, there's a long process here. I was also going to pull up a little bit of some beef between Frank Saravelli and Craig Morgan. So I thought this was kind of funny. Bill Armstrong's burner. So just talking about how Craig Morgan owning Saravelli. I mean, poor Frank's getting ripped, but I mean, Frank got ratioed heavy here. He goes, FYI, for it to be wrapped up in 3 months, an auction notice would need to be publicly posted today, which couldn't happen because we haven't seen any appraisals or studies, which can be challenged. And then the Yotes need to actually win the auction. So Craig Morgan actually responded going, you're assuming hard, fast, and flexible rules. That's not always the case with Arizona politics. Damn, Arizona in 4. So, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I feel like the NHL is not going to want a lot of sketchy shit happening. Honestly, guys, I don't have enough knowledge in terms of Arizona politics. So I'll specifically say I rely on Craig Morgan for that. I mean, for sure. But I feel like the NHL is definitely, I mean, you've seen Gary Bettman. Gary Bettman's always, and no one can deny this, Coyotes fans, I feel for you, but no one can deny this, that Gary Bettman's always been pro Coyotes hockey in Arizona. Lately, you're getting a different vibe from Gary Bettman. So that's a concern. So give me your thoughts, guys. I just wanted to go over that. Craig Morgan, go check out his pod. I think he posted like a 7-8 minute clip. I listened to a bit of it, basically what we just summarized. But there's more to come for the Arizona situation. And at the end of the day, I'm just going to keep kind of talking about what's coming up, whether it's opinion, fact, anything across the board. We'll see. Is Arizona done in the NHL? I don't know. I actually don't know. But it continues to be a bit of a disaster. Let's hope for the best for all parties. And honestly, for Coyotes employees and fans, I really do wish the best. So let's see if a good resolution comes forward, and we'll talk soon. Peace.